Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our FCO Champions project information session. Guess you caught us in a little bit of a conversation there. Kathleen and I are very excited about the projects that FCO is doing and our connections with our networks and our community and our sector partners. So we are thrilled to have everyone join us this morning. I know you've heard a little bit about our champion project and what we're trying to accomplish at FCO by having champions within the long-term care home to support your family council and heighten the presence of your family council and really help build those relationships with your council members and the leadership teams in your long-term care homes. So Kathleen, without further ado, I'll pass it to you so that we can go on and explain what this is all about.
Thank you so much, Leanne. So as with all FCO presentations, we will open with a land acknowledgement, and we do want to recognize that the home address and our home base for Family Councils Ontario is situated in the city of Hamilton, which is located on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga. And if you want to learn more about the Indigenous population and land about where you are located, where you're joining from today, you can visit nativeland.ca to learn a little bit more. And we are recommending it's a best practice for councils during part of their meetings, specifically at the start as they're opening up, to consider doing a bit of exploration and adding your own land acknowledgement to be part of your opening processes within your council meetings. So what is it we're going to be doing today? So today's session, we're really going to explain what the Family Council in a Weave project is, because the Champions pilot is one of many working pieces at Family Council Ontario tied to something called the In a Weave project. We're going to explain the Champion Model Pilot Project. I cannot speak today. It's a Thursday. My tongue is tied. Understanding the role of the champions and the model pilot project in supporting family engagement and family councils. So specifically, why are we creating this project? Like, what is it we're hoping to achieve? We're also going to describe the key roles of partners. So family council champions, long-term care staff, and family councils. So specifically, how are you going to be involved in this pilot project? And then we're going to answer any questions you may have based on the information we're going to share with you today. So what exactly is the In a Weave project? So while FCO already has a significant impact on the long-term care sector and our community, we want to ensure that we're well equipped not only to respond to the current needs of the sector, but also what is to come. The sector is evolving, so new homes are being built and old ones are being redeveloped. The resident population is changing as more Ontarians are aging at home, and the needs of caregivers are changing as they enter the long-term care community, and they're more burnt out with greater needs for connection and support. Models of care are also evolving to be more person-centered, and all while the sector and the broader healthcare system are in a staffing crisis. So our In a Weave project is really looking at the specific impact that Family Councils Ontario is making and looking at how our current programs as well as future programs can really make sure that they're created in a way that can meet the current needs as well as the future needs of both care partners, staff, and residents in long-term care. So this did lead to the creation of an intended impact statement. So this is an overall goal of what FCO is hoping to achieve by 2030. So in the next 5 years, this is something that FCO wants to achieve. And why I say 5 years, this project started in 2025, and we did share this impact statement at a town hall session in November of last year. So Family Councils Ontario will partner with family caregivers and long-term care champions in fostering sustainable family councils with a goal of having effective family councils in 75% of long-term care homes in Ontario by 2030. Each one working to improve the quality of life of family caregiver experience through collaboration and transparent communication with family within the family council and within the home. As we continue to support family councils, we will evolve into an organization which better tracks and measures elements of success and shares these with the community. Our approach will include coaching, education, and meaningful opportunities for connection to help councils grow stronger, be more inclusive, and promote a sense of belonging. Working together with champions and our sector partners, we will amplify the collective voice of family councils, leading to new research and policy change recommendations in long-term care that reflect and incorporate the perspectives of families and caregivers. So what does this mean when it comes to the Family Council Champions project? So the Family Council Champion project is, as I said, one of many projects connected to that intended impact statement. Specifically, the Champions project, we looked at what is one way or one variable or factor that we see as playing a key role in creating the presence and sustainability of effective family councils in all long-term care communities. So as we know, the long-term care sector continues to grow and evolve with more residents coming in, more homes being built. And then with such growth, while FCO is excited to be able to provide support, and our team has grown to have more people available to provide more in-person supports across the province, we realize that we don't have time to be physically present in every single community across the province every single day. And then another barrier to being able to provide that support in a timely manner is just taking time to build relations with people in those communities and knowledge of both the written and unwritten rules that exist within your own individual communities across the province. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to create the Champions model as a grassroots solution to address barriers to effective councils, and as someone who has that knowledge and those connections within the community already, to really tailor the supports offered to a family council and to staff who are working with the councils in a long-term care community based off of what they know as a member of that community. So through this, we're hoping to recruit and train up to 40 individuals who are eligible for membership in a family council to serve as a champion within their long-term care community. So the family council champion is a family member, friend, or person of importance to a resident currently living in a long-term care home. So you do need to have someone who would view you as family, and would mean that you would be eligible to be a member of a family council currently part of a long-term care community. We're also looking to have someone who has regular presence and knowledge of daily life for residents and staff in that long-term care community. It doesn't mean you have to be present 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because we know that's not possible, but you do need to have a regular presence. So at least going into the home and interacting with staff and residents, as well as your person, at least once a week, having knowledge of the day-to-day events that are happening, things that might be shifting the priorities or goals, things that really might lead to an increased need for support for the council when it comes to working towards their specific goals. So the champion is an eligible member of the council, but they're not the chair or a member of the leadership team. And that's just because we don't want the chair or a member of the current executive of the council to be burnt out. We already know you spend a lot of time doing the amazing work that you do. So we do not want to put any extra work on people who are already actively taking a leadership role in the council. So again, the person who does serve in the role of the champion, or a champion, would act as that resource and connector for family and friends. They'd be someone who would help support town hall meetings and communication with family and friends. Specifically, when a home does not have an active council, then the champion would be someone who would really try to promote opportunities for family engagement within the community. And one of those key ways, when there isn't a council in a long-term care community, is a town hall that needs to happen at least once every 6 months. And part of that town hall meeting is letting families and friends know that they have the right to form a family council. If in that meeting, the family and friends decide they want to in the process of starting up a council. Again, the champion will encourage a culture of collaboration and transparency between the families and long-term care staff. So again, just making sure that they're speaking to each other, that there's two-way communication, that families are getting the answers to the questions that they have, and then also speaking to staff to maybe give a little bit of an explanation about why a family member may be wanting information to help understand what is happening in the long-term care community. And another important thing is that champions will help maintain family engagement and family councils during transitions in leadership or periods of conflict. So, when there is something happening in the family council that is active, so if the chair decides they want to move on from their role and they're looking to see who could take over, the champion will be someone who could step in to support the recruitment and maybe encourage people that here are the benefits of taking on a leadership role in your council. And these are some of the skills. This is how you can build these skills. I'm here so you can bounce ideas off me. And I'm here to support you as you take your first few meetings as the chair or as the secretary. I'm here to help cheer you on and support you and guide you as you take on this new role when you might be feeling a little bit intimidated about what it entails. And then if there is an emerging conflict, the champion might notice something is starting to happen, may bring it to the attention of the leadership of the council, and may take an active role in leading the discussion to try and resolve it before it becomes something that's escalated, before it's something where you need to call on the Family Council Ontario Conflict Resolution Services. So if you're wondering, if you are a staff member joining us and you want to know, well, what does this mean for staff? So what is the role of long-term care staff? And this is frontline as well as administrators. I want to clarify that there is no additional staff time or energy required for this project beyond the support the home would provide to council. So beyond what you would typically be asked to do, to support family engagement or family councils based on the powers of a family council in the Fixing Long-Term Care legislation. You're just required to do the same thing for them. We are not expecting staff to be the people leading this program, but we do need some help from you as staff because again, we can't go to all the homes. We're sharing information on our website, in our e-bulletin, through this webinar, but we really need you to be able to do some things in your own community for us. So we do need home staff support in recruiting a champion by sharing promotional material and the application information. So if the home indicates that they are interested, and if there's an active council and they indicate they are also interested, then you would connect with the team at Family Councils Ontario, say we're interested in participating in the Champions Project. And we would then send you recruitment material. So we do have a poster. It will have information about what we're looking for in champions that will help people who aren't too sure if they're interested in the role. It'll give you a little bit more detail about what we envision that role doing and the role it plays in this project. And again, we do want to encourage home leadership and staff to work collaboratively with champions. So again, we do hope, similar to how you would be working with Family Council executive, the champion may also have conversations with you, especially in homes where there is no active council. The champion may have conversations with the home staff about the level of engagement you have with families and think about ways that you can maybe increase or work towards your goals for family engagement. And again, we do really want you to provide champions with a welcoming environment in which to do their work. So again, a champion is not out to find problems and then complain about them. We really want champions to identify those strengths that exist within long-term care communities, but also identify opportunities for growth that could make family councils more effective or improve family engagement within your long-term care community. So again, no extra staff time is needed for supporting the Champion Project, but we do need your help in helping us connect with champions in your long-term care communities by posting those flyers, by circulating the recruitment materials, and supporting the champion as they implement their work. So similar to what you would do to support a member of the team of Family Councils Ontario if we were coming in to do a program, or if we were working with your community to address a specific issue or concern that you've asked us to support you with. So what is the role of the Family Council? So again, what we need from family councils. So one thing, we do want councils to make a decision if yes, they are open to supporting and having a champion in their community, or if it's not something they're interested in at this point in time. But we do want you to commit to support the champion and their role to promote family engagement in your long-term care community for the 12-month or 1 year period. It's a 1 year pilot project. So really for 1 year, your council is committing to support whoever is serving in the role of champion as they are going to be doing their work. We will want you or the leadership of the council to meet with a champion to discuss the strengths that you have as a council, as well as areas of growth when it comes to council effectiveness. So we have created a tool, so two tools actually, one called the Family Council Effectiveness Tool that the champion will be using to examine and highlight family council effectiveness. And if you're wondering why we created this tool, it's because in our intended impact statement, we said by 2030, we want to have effective family councils in 75% of the long-term care homes across the province. So we've created a tool that will help us actually capture and measure the level of effectiveness of a family council, but also be able to say not only how many family councils exist and are active in the province, but of those councils that are active, what percentage are effective family councils. So again, the family council leadership would meet with the champion to discuss what's happening on this family council effectiveness tool. Champions, really the intent is that they're an additional resource and support to enhance the role and presence of the council. And I do want to emphasize the presence of a champion is not intended to take away from the work of the council and the chair of the council. They're an additional support to the leadership team of the council with knowledge of Family Council Ontario resources and supports, and they can be called upon to address the specific needs of your council and to help your council in achieving your goals. So, Family Council Ontario does have staff who provide coaching to family councils. However, you can refer to the champion who will go through training to understand some of the best practices when it comes to effective councils and supporting councils and collaboration with homes. The champion is your in-house coach for your council. So they are someone who is there to support you and your team as a council and your team of staff in your long-term care community as you work toward your specific goals when it comes to the family council or when it comes to family engagement. Again, the champion knows the environment and can help councils make the best and most appropriate game plan to achieving their goals. So, what are some of the anticipated benefits of participating in the Champion Project? So, again, we really do view this as a way where you can support the implementation and improve compliance when it comes to the family engagement or when it comes to the work of family councils and supporting and making sure you're adhering to the powers of a family council as written in the Fixing Long-Term Care Act. So we view it as a way for home communities to improve their compliance. So when an inspector comes in and looks at how are you doing when it comes to family engagement and what's expected for family engagement, or how are you doing when it comes to the relationship you have in supporting your family council, we're hoping that it will lead to a decrease in infractions in these inspection reports and that it will lead to increased compliance. Again, increased family engagement in long-term care communities. So again, just looking at how are families involved in your community? What are the current strengths you have, but also what are some gaps or what are some areas for growth, and really pinpointing that and being something that you can create goals to work towards with the support of various, again, families or other partners in your community to achieving those specific goals when it comes to family engagement. Promoting the presence of effective counsels. So again, we will have this tool that will let you actually identify where are you currently sitting. If you have an active counsel, is it currently in a state that would be viewed as effective, or are there specific areas where there may need some training or supports to help you increase the level of effectiveness of those counsels in working towards the goals that you have? It's a good way to increase awareness of the role of family councils within your long-term care community, as well as within the long-term care sector. It's a good way to celebrate success because some of the aspects of the Family Council Effectiveness tool are thinking about within your council meeting. How are you celebrating the individual skills or accomplishments of members? So if someone is deciding they want to take on a role, are you going to celebrate? Hey, you did your first meeting as secretary and your meeting minutes were outstanding. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Or it could be celebrating the support of staff. Maybe there's a staff member who's done an outstanding job in supporting family engagement, promoting the presence of your family council. And so you can give them a shout out formally in your meeting minutes. You can also, as a community, celebrate the success of the council, saying, hey, the family council held a welcome tea. The family council have approached us and asked if they can now be invited as part of the welcoming committee when a new resident and their family are joining on move-in day. Celebrate those successes, whether they're big or small, but we do want you to take the time to celebrate because I think that's an area where we know you do amazing work, but we don't really get to brag about it. And this is really saying we want you to take the time to brag about what you've done, to cheer each other on, to celebrate those things that you are doing that are really making an impact. And again, support succession planning for family councils. So again, you've got someone who, when you know someone wants to leave and move on from the council, says, okay, well, how long is this going to take? What's it going to look like? And how can I support you in moving on from your role while making sure that as you leave, the council doesn't just decide to fold. Now I'm going to talk about the process for the champion selection process. So you're probably wondering, well, how are we going to figure out who's going to participate in this pilot? And we're not expecting all homes to participate in this pilot, but we are hoping at least 40 long-term care homes and 40 individuals are interested in serving in the role of champion. So it starts with an application. So we are putting out a call for volunteers. So we will be, after this webinar, in homes who indicate their interest, we will be sending out recruitment materials for homes to post and councils to share when it comes to how could you apply to be a champion. So again, we will have a form to collect responses for people who are interested in applications. We're also going to host a webinar like this one. It's going to be recorded and shared later, so that way it will be available to answer any questions about what's involved in the role of champion or what's involved in the champion project. The next step is selection. So after this, we're going to spend some time reading the applications. And then based on the applications, we may set up interviews with the individuals who said they're interested in the role, just to sit and check in with you, ask you questions, clarify some of the answers you may have shared, and really make sure that you understand what's going to be involved in this. We can answer any questions that you may have that have come up since this session or in addition to what you've learned in this session. And then again, you'll have an interview with the FCO team just so we can get to know who you are, understand your needs, because the next part is going to be training. So the interview isn't to like necessarily say, nope, if you're interviewed, you are not going to be eligible. It's really a good way for us to understand your specific goals and interests in this role, as well as your preferred methods for communication, as well as some of the things that you might need when it comes to the training. And we are going to hold in-person training for champions in this spring. So it'll be late May and early June when the training happens. And at that point in time, we're also going to share training resources created for this project with champions. I'm calling it the Family Council Champions Toolkit. It will include information about the 2 tools I have said I've created specifically for this project that are going to be used to assess both family council effectiveness as well as family engagement in long-term care communities where there is no council. And again, I do want to emphasize champions can come from both long-term care communities where there is an active council, as well as from a long-term care community where there is no active council. It comes from both situations, and you can serve in that role in both situations. And then again, after you've done the training, you'll have a little bit of time to read through the materials, come back to the FCO team with any questions you may have, thinking about how you are going to implement the role in your communities. And then FCO is going to support you as you begin to implement the champion role in your long-term care communities in the summer, in July 2026. Again, we'll give you ongoing support, both in person, over the phone, or through meetings on Teams or Zoom, whatever your preference is. And then we are going to conduct weekly and quarterly check-ins with champions just to see a little bit about the work that you're doing. You will be conducting and sharing the scores you have for family council effectiveness and maybe some discussion about how you arrived at that score, and then what was the action plan you created with the council based off of what you found in that specific use of the effectiveness tool. So what exactly is the time commitment for this role? We estimate that champions will need to provide at least 5 hours of time per month to this role. So again, it might start at 5, it might be more than 5. It really just kind of depends on what's going on in your council or in your long-term care community. So when there is a lot of transition, so let's say your long-term care community is going to be moving. So your home is being redeveloped and you're going to be going through a move. Then the champion might play a bigger role because you might be supporting communication between the council and home as this move is happening. So when there are big transition events happening in your community, maybe you have a new administrator coming in to join your long-term care team. So maybe there might be a need for the champion to support the relationship building between the council and between this new administrator, and really, to make sure that engagement of families is consistent during that change. So it will fluctuate, but at least 5 hours per month is what we estimate you'll be agreeing to dedicate your time to in this role. How often do champions need to physically be present in the home? So the individual taking the role of a champion should have an ongoing, up-to-date knowledge about the culture of the long-term community they serve. So they don't need to be present in the home 7 days a week. However, you do have to have a strong working relationship with residents, staff, and care partners, and the family council, if there is a family council in that community. So whoever takes on the role of champion really does need to have a strong relationship with a number of partners, from residents to staff to other care partners to the council if your home has one. You need to understand the current goals and priorities of the home when it comes to family engagement or of the family council. And you need to understand any changes, anticipated or unanticipated changes happening in the home that may shape the relationship between the family council, care partners, and staff. So again, you need to have up-to-date knowledge of what is happening in this home that would shape the relationship between families and staff, or the family council and staff and other partners in the long-term care community, like residents. If you're wondering when the training is happening, so again, the training will happen in person and it will happen in late May and early June. There may be some additional training that champions will complete on their own. Again, it's a pilot project, so we may add more training or provide a webinar to share an update based on what we're learning. So what we hear from champions as we do our check-ins may lead to more opportunities for training. But again, we're not going to ask you to spend time in training if it's not needed. We're only going to ask what we think is reasonable to support you in carrying out the role of champion. And at times, this will be based on what we're hearing from champions and some of the questions that you may have or some of the issues that you're coming across. So post-training activities. So after the training, these are some of the things that we anticipate you'll be spending your time doing. And again, this might depend if you have a council and you're supporting an active council, or if your home does not have a council. So for homes that have an active council, you will attend the council meeting. So that's about 1 to 3 hours a month. If you do not have an active council, you'll spend time connecting with other families and having conversations about, have they thought about starting a council? Why haven't they wanted to start a council? What are some of their concerns about the quality of life or about the long-term care sector? And how can you, share these concerns as a community? And then you're also going to complete and record the score for family council effectiveness or family engagement, depending on the situation. There's a different tool for each. You're also going to check in with the Family Council Ontario member of our team, just again to provide us updates about what was the score, what are you noticing, what are some areas where you are going to be supporting the council or the home when it comes to growth. What resources or supports might you need from us? Are there any gaps that exist in our resources and supports based off of those areas of growth you've identified? Again, talking about the score, so about 30 minutes to an hour and creating an action plan. And then again, sharing any resources or guidance with staff, residents, and care partners and council based off of what you've developed in your action plan, based off of what you've learned with the tools. So a lot of what you're doing is going to be based off of what you see happening in a meeting when it comes to family council effectiveness, or as you're talking with other care partners in the community when it comes to family engagement. What are the current strengths? And then taking action to address opportunities for growth. So now it's your turn we've done a lot of the talking. It's your turn to ask us any questions. So if there is anything that we haven't answered, or if you would like us to clarify, now's your time to share it in the chat, and we are happy to take those questions.
Thanks so much, Kathleen. So as you can see, there was a lot of time and effort that went into developing this project. And the information and what drove us to create this champion project really is from feedback that we've heard from family council members, long-term care communities, and leadership teams in terms of having that support person to be able to really be that connection, and to build those relationships between the council members and the leadership teams and home staff, and really making sure that they have that knowledge base to be able to be effective. So our goal is there are many family councils running in the province, but our goal is to really see that effectiveness so that not just to have a family council in the home, but to have that family council be effective, to be able to be successful, sustain their membership, have easier recruitment to ensure that all members feel, family members feel included and feel that the family council is a safe space to go to help improve quality of life. Really, and not just the quality of life, but to heighten the experience of everyone within the long-term care home. So that is our goal, and we're hoping that that excitement and that passion that we feel with this project will resonate and ignite passion, with that champion being within your home, and just opportunity, like Kathleen said, opportunity for growth, opportunity to heighten the presence of a family council, and really strive for collaboration because working together will promote positive change within your community. So I see that the chat and the Q&A is lighting up. So let's get to it. There was one question in the Q&A that I did answer, not live, but just answered within the chat, that yes, our resources will also be available in French. So the first question is, would the toolkit still be available if no one qualifies for the training?
So this is a pilot project. So for the pilot project, it will not be widely available because pilot project means we want to learn, and we don't want to learn by launching it open to everyone. We really want to make sure with the people who are taking on the role of champion that the information we've provided makes sense to the people in that role. And we'll make tweaks to it as we learn a little bit more working with the champions over the next year. But the goal is, so not this year, but coming up in the next few years, the next step in scaling this initiative beyond the pilot will be to take what we learned from the pilot, make any changes we need, and then it will be launched and available and open to all family councils and all long-term care communities. So at that point in time, yes, the toolkit will still be available if no one qualifies for the training. It will be available, just not at this time because we don't want to share something when we still don't know if it meets the needs, and it's not a polish. So it's kind of like a working draft at this moment. And then once we go through the pilot, take what we learn, do the evaluation, then it will be shared, and you will know when it's available. We'll probably do a nice big webinar to share what we learned from the pilot project, and then say, here it is, it's available to you, and this is how you can use it. And a little bit more about how that would work. The role of champion and supporting champions would work alongside some of our existing programs and support. So we're not taking away things that exist already. So you can still reach out to FCO And our programs department will still be doing presentations. Natasha, our programs director, will still be doing leadership presentations. We'll still be doing conflict resolution. We'll still be doing webinars. This is just a specialized project we're trying because one of the issues we noticed is how do you get a council started? And we're like, well, maybe having someone who can provide that ongoing support after we go into a home and do a presentation, that might help. Or what could happen and what can we do to try and make sure that when someone decides they want to leave a council, how can we try and support that council and continuing to remain active so you don't have this ongoing roller coaster of the council's active, council's inactive, council's active, council's inactive. We want to see it just consistently exist. So we're hoping to learn how the role of a champion can help communities that don't have a council start one, and then how once they have a council, or if you have a council, how a champion can help keep that council going so it doesn't, go up and down and up and down.
Excellent. So we do have quite a few questions in the chat, so we'll keep moving along. Nicole is asking, can you please clarify who a champion would and would not be? So we can just quickly go over that slide again to clarify.
So again, they need to have someone who is currently connected to them in the home. So again, they need to be an eligible member of the family council. They are not a staff member. They need to have a regular presence. As I said, it doesn't need to be every day, but maybe once a week, every other week, but have fairly good working knowledge of what is happening on the ground in that home that might be shaping relationships between family care partners, or between the family council and between staff. So really giving you an understanding of context on the ground of what is happening that may shape that relationship. Champions are people who are comfortable in providing coaching, so comfortable and experienced with facilitation. Maybe someone who's really good with listening, active listening, someone who is really good at taking a step back and seeing the bigger picture, someone who's really good at self-reflection. We will be sharing a poster after this with more characteristics of a champion, as well as some questions that people who might be interested in the role of champion can ask to really kind of think about where are you at as a care partner in your journey? Is it the right time? Or are there other things you have on the go that might kind of interfere with your ability to take on this role? Because we don't want you to take on more than you can. So we really want you to take a step back and think about where am I at? I look at it as a care partner, you probably heard where you fill up your glass, right? And then you forget, you just keep filling it up and filling it up, and you're filling others' glasses up, but then yours eventually overflows because you're taking care of other people's needs, but you're not addressing your own. We do not want the role of champion to be something that leads to that overflowing, where you're just overwhelmed. We really want you to think about your own self-care and make sure that you are in the right both physical as well as mental state to really take on this role, and it wouldn't be something that would add additional stress to your life that you really don't need at this point in time.
Awesome. Marlene is asking, what's the current percentage of long-term care homes that have a family council in Ontario? And that is the million-dollar question that we have here at Family Councils Ontario. Because family councils are self-led and autonomous, it's very difficult to capture that information. So we do have a directory on our family council's website, but again, putting the information in that directory is voluntary. And the Ministry of Long-Term Care does try every year to update information of the long-term care communities in terms of who's the administrator, do they have a resident council, family council, an active family council. And again, because their family council's membership can come and go, and sometimes you do have a family council and maybe halfway through the year you no longer have a family council, they fold, and that information is not updated in real time. So it's very difficult. That is one of our goals in terms of finding an effective way to collect that information so that we'd have a more current up to date of the percentages of homes that have a family council. So that is a work in progress. So stay tuned. hopefully at some point we can share that information once we have a more effective way to collect that data. So someone is asking about the definition of effectiveness. So I can start, and Kathleen, if you want to add on. As Kathleen mentioned, she did develop an amazing effectiveness tool. So it's definitely an opportunity for councils to look and reflect on what it is that they're doing, like what are their goals. So at FCO, what we see as effectiveness is a family council that has strategic goals in alignment with the goals or the mission of the community that they are in and the long-term care community that they are in. They have a collaborative relationship with the home leadership team. They sit on the quality, a member of the council sits on the quality improvement committee of their long-term care home. They provide education and support to family caregivers within the home. They may be part, as Kathleen said, a welcoming committee or offer that peer-to-peer support for new families and residents moving into the long-term care home. So this is how we see an effective family council. That effectiveness tool is loaded with really good points of reflection to see, is this something that we are working on as a council? And as Kathleen mentioned, if not, is this an opportunity of growth for us?
Mhm.
And how we're doing really good, but how can we be a little bit better? Kathleen, if you wanted to add on to that.
Sure. So, looking at group and team effectiveness. So, I spent a good portion of my summer just going down the rabbit hole of research in all areas, healthcare teams, business teams, community groups, looking at what models exist and what theories exist to help understand what makes a group or a team effective. And the model that I came across, and it will be part of the tool, will point you to the document I found that kind of presents different models and ways of looking at it through theory. So I'm using the Korn Ferry T7 model of team effectiveness. However, what I've done is I've basically adapted the categories of how they view team effectiveness to what would fit a family council. So they use things like thrust, trust, talent. They like T's for their category. So I've basically looked at, well, what would that be translated to in family engagement or family councils? And so there will be, when we do release these tools, and I see these tools both being released and being available in June at the same time as we launch the training, I will also launch using these tools. So councils will be able to use it to look at council effectiveness. And it may be part of how we do track active family councils because we want to not just know how many councils do we have, we want to know how many are effective. So this tool will help us when we maybe call and have a check-in with your council. Or if we know that you have an active council, we have the contact information for your chair. We may send out a reminder to all councils on our mailing list. Hey, now is the time to do your council effectiveness checklist within the next couple months. Set some time aside in a meeting. Use this tool. We'll provide you with training to explain how to use it. It is a self-referral checklist, and you'd score it, and then we will guide you through what the scoring of it would mean. But basically, it's looking at out of 5, how would you rate this? And obviously, if you're giving yourselves 5s and then you're dividing it by the average, a higher score will emerge. So areas where you have a higher score in that category would mean those are your strengths. Areas with lower scores would mean those are opportunities for growth. So looking at where could you grow as a council, and all councils can grow. There's always going to be something happening where you can grow. And so it's really going to help pinpoint those strengths, so things that are doing well, so you can celebrate that. So celebrate those successes, celebrate your strengths. And part of your council meeting after you do this tool, you might want to sit and have a discussion about how are we doing? How are our strengths helping us work towards our goals? And how are these areas of growth maybe a barrier to us achieving these goals that we have as a council? And one of the items for effectiveness is talking about, do you know the goals that you're working towards? Does your council have goals? We do have a resource that will help councils in creating SMART goals and tracking those goals and being able to articulate that and visit those and have discussion of those goals in your meetings. So, and that's more for councils who may not have those resources. We're not saying the resources we create, you have to implement, although this effectiveness tool or family engagement tool for homes without a council. It will help identify, well, how are you doing? And how are we doing when it comes to supporting the presence of effective counsel? So it's kind of twofold. It's helping you, but it's also helping us in knowing how are we doing when it comes to achieving our intended impact by 2030.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathleen. So I am being sensitive of time because we do have to finish the webinar at 11. So we will move through the questions as quickly as we can, but as effectively as we can. In the case of not being able to find a champion in our home, can the chairperson begin with the role while encouraging other family members or friends of a resident to take on the role?
I think it would depend. So I would definitely say connect with the team at FCO. As I said, it's a pilot, so it would really depend on the situation of your community. And we might provide some guidance in that situation. So if I'd say you could always try posting, say, yes, we're interested. You could try posting to see if this role means that maybe there is someone hiding in your community who's intimidated about joining the council, but having this role might make them want to join the council. And again, part of this training is talking to them and understanding their goals and maybe encouraging them to build that relationship. If you want to take this role on, you really should understand the current state of the council. So making sure that they're attending meetings and building relationships with the people who would need to have relationships with them if they did take on that role. But yeah, reach out to us so we can see how that might potentially work.
Yep. The next question from Tina. We have a very active family council, but it seems we struggle with recruitment. Can we access the toolkit in order to support such recruitment? We currently have 3 family members who have lost their family member over the past year, but still are an active family council. So we do have resources already existing to help with recruitment. So that's definitely something, Tina, we'd be able to share with you if you wanted to try that step with the current resources that we have. There's also this is something that Family Council Champion would help you with. So it would definitely help you with the recruitment. And this is what we're seeing is that they would have the training and the resources available to you at the time when you are looking for this type of support. So the champion would, share resources, connect with new family members, be in the home and being able to talk to family members about, hey, did you know we have a family council and that we meet once a month on this date? This is what we're all about. And being able to generate that interest and have family council family members wanting to be part of your family council. So if Taeyang, if you can drop in the chat my email as well as Kathleen's email, and then we can connect you with our intake coordinator who can send some information. And maybe Taeyang also drop the info at email address and that we can make sure that the existing resources we have and supports we can offer you right now. The next question. I'm on a family council and serve as a secretary, but it's taken our family council a long time to reach quorum. We've only been viable since about November 25th. So quorum really is about the numbers you have, right? And it's the majority. So if you have 3 members, quorum would be 2 out of the 3. And again, the champion is definitely something, that can help with that, help with recruitment, help with heightening the presence of your family council within the home. So just keep in mind that these questions that you're asking, this is a role that the champion can play in your home. Could the role of the champion be shared by 1 or 3 family members? Kathleen, I'll pass that one to you.
Um, So I think the more people who are taking on this role, it creates challenges that we haven't quite understood yet. So before it would be shared between multiple people, we really want to understand how this role works with one person. So I'd say yes, in the future it could be, but we want to make it as easy as possible right now as we're trying to launch something new to have it just see with one person what's needed. And eventually, we do want to scale up to having staff also being able to serve as a champion. But as we scale up, it may also be having multiple people serving in the role of champion in a community. I'll give the example of, so if your council goes on the shared leadership model where maybe there's a couple people who share a role. So maybe there's, siblings who take turns being the secretary and taking meeting minutes. So, okay, great. Well, it could work in a similar way. So there's siblings in a large family who take turns being the champion. And again, they speak to each other and they work together, but they also serve in the role of champion. It may work, but right now we really want to see how does it work with one person. So I'm going to say no right now, but in the future, yes.
Excellent. I find one of the greatest struggles is to have the leadership in our home to share information with regard to the home. The deep dive info, just not the icing on the cake to appease our inquiries. So again, the champion would be someone that would help have those conversations, that would initiate those conversations with the home leadership team and maybe provide education on the powers of a family council or what the legislation says in terms of what the home is legislated to do to support the family council. So the champion would be that voice to really help improve those relationships and to communicate in a way that is collaborative and supportive to ensure that council needs are being met based on the Fixing Long-Term Care Act.
Mhm. And Tina, I will say one thing you can suggest to the leadership in your home is we do have a leadership presentation specifically designed for home staff and leadership. It's led by our programs director, Natasha Dupuy. And it again breaks down exactly what does this legislation look like when it comes to the powers of a family council and supporting a family council. So when it comes to sharing information and understanding where a council's coming from, I'd say the leadership presentations are a good recommendation, an idea to bring to your home saying, did you know FCO offers this? And it really helps you understand what it is that you can do to support us and the work that we do. And we would really appreciate, we'd see it as a gesture of good faith if you would, consider attending or reaching out. So connect with the programs department, connect with, I want to say our info at or our intake coordinator, Tiffany Chang, and let them know they'd be interested in the leadership presentation because it's something launched in October. And it really is targeted to staff and building their knowledge of the powers of a family council and what it looks like for them and how they can help build that relationship.
Excellent. I'm trying to keep up with the chat and the questions in the Q&A, mindful that we have 7 minutes left. So I think we've answered kind of this question about how does the role of family council support us with these struggles, and is there support with the training materials to work through this? Yes. So Kathleen and I will be the contact people when it comes to the support for the champion, providing all the materials and the resources. As mentioned, we will be doing in-person training and follow-up. That champion and the home will have the support from Kathleen and I during the whole pilot project. Is there a directory through FCO to share the names? So we've also answered the question in terms of we do have a directory, however, it is voluntary. So it's up to the long-term care homes or the family council chair or family council members to input that information into our directory. We are currently looking at different ways to make this a little bit more effective so that we have a way to actively collect that information and to have it up to date. More current and up to date. So that is still a work in progress, but yes, we do have a company directory on our website. And again, it's voluntary, but you can go in there and put in your information. Does the tool and criteria for assessment effectiveness of a family council, as just described, include on the checklist opportunities to document barriers to achieving effectiveness in each category? Good question.
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can because it's gonna be I don't know if you've ever done a standardized like evaluation or assessment. So yes, there are places when you're doing your scoring or when you're writing down for you to write down a bit of a rationale behind why you might be scoring that answer. So yes, there will be.
Perfect. I'm trying to get through. Please share the contact person who I speak with prior to our next family council meeting. I'm looking for some specific information with the ins and outs. So again, that would be thank you for sharing your email. It's in the chat. So if you look under the chat, you will see Kathleen's email address, my email address, and our info at email address. The info at will connect you directly with our intake coordinator, and Tiffany will be able to answer your questions and provide you with any documents or resources that you need to support your questions or support your need, what you're looking for. So I'm just gonna, somebody was asking where it is, so it's in the chat. Also said, thank you, Kathleen, for sharing about the leadership training. So that is definitely something that is already in the works. And there's a couple of questions in the chat. A couple of questions was about the effectiveness, so I think we did answer that.
Mm. There was a question someone typed in the chat about it might be good to have chairs meet on a somewhat regular basis to share experiences and ideas. So we do have something called a Family Council online knowledge exchange, and we have asked councils to only select one or two people from their council. Some councils, if they have a shared council email account, just use that account to access the online community. So what I want to say is if you're interested in that, then I'd say connect with Tiffany Chang or info at FCO and say, I would like to join the Family Council Online Knowledge Exchange, and they will be able to help you join that community. But that is the place where Family Council chairs can meet and connect, ask questions, post questions, share resources. They are very active. We don't really have to post anything. It's always someone has a question about something, whether it's does your home have a defibrillator? Do you use debit machines? Or have you had issues with getting access to your inspection report? I find there's delayed. Like there's a lot of conversation happening on that community that is often very specific to the role of the chair and some of the issues that you're encountering in your home. And you can always post those questions, or you can promote and share some of the programs or best practices or exciting things you have on the go. So I'd say the best thing you could do if you did want to connect and meet on a regular basis is to join that online community because that is kind of what it is.
Excellent. We really want to thank everyone for the amazing questions and engagement in the chat and the Q&A. It's very exciting for Kathleen and I, to hear your questions, and hopefully we've ignited some interest and some passion in all of you to jump on board with this pilot project and really enhancing the experience in your community, bringing everyone together to promote positive change, and really connecting, having that family engagement within your long-term care community. So again, thank you for spending this hour with us. You do have our emails. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out. And I wish everyone a great day.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's time for the Q&A, and I will mute and I'll let if there's any questions that have come up, I'll let Leanne take the lead at the first question.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for that detailed explanation. Again, you can see that there was a lot of time and effort spent in creating this champion model and really reflecting on what that means in your long-term care communities. We strongly believe that the presence of an effective family council working collaboratively with your home leadership team will absolutely lead to positive change and heighten the experience of everyone in your long-term care community. So that is our goal, and there's no bigger cheerleader than Kathleen and I, right now when it comes to this project of how we could see the good that can come out of it. So if you have questions or questions, feel free to put it in the chat. And or the Q&A, and we'll answer your questions as we go. You also may be able to unmute to ask your question. So the first question we have is Jocelyn is asking, can staff be a champion? So Kathleen, did you want to explain what phase two as we scale up in the project and that what that will mean?
Sure. So in thinking about the champion model and in discussion with our team at FCO in the Interweave model, we thought about what is the kind of one element that is key to seeing a family council be successful in being established or starting up in a long-term care community. And it comes down to if it's not coming from family or friends, then it is not a family council. Family councils are family led, meaning that they are driven by the needs and passion and interest and skills of families to want to connect with each other for some purpose, whether it's education, to advocate, to improve communication and relationships between family care partners and staff. It needs to come from a family member. And so that is why the champion is going to be a family member. Now, that doesn't mean that staff could not be and are not really strong champions. We know that you are. We see and we hear you when we go to conferences or when we go and visit communities all the time. However, we really do want to encourage family-led councils because when it becomes staff-led, it's not truly a council, it's a family advisory committee. And there is a slight difference between both. We do have resources that kind of explain both. But I really think councils are good and really having that growth and that support. We really wanted to understand what is it that we can do to try and help those communities where we might go in and do that presentation on why councils matter or Family Council 101, and then nothing happens, no council forms. And so we really want to try and support the council in starting up by having someone there. Eventually, once we know how a family or friend serving in the role of champion, what their needs are, yes, our goal is to scale it up and then to see beyond having someone who could be a family or friend in the role of champion, we want to support staff, specifically someone who'd be like the council assistant as that staff champion, and that will be coming later on. And then eventually, by 5 years, we hope to see it be also looking at the macro sector level of having administrators or CEOs of corporations being champions for family councils. And again, just recognizing the benefit of family engagement through family councils.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathleen. Our next question is, can there be more than one champion in the home to ensure the commitment? So as Kathleen explained, our goal is eventually to also have a staff champion. So at some point, there will be two champions in the home. There will be the council champion and the staff champion. I don't think we've thought yet beyond having more than one champion in the home. It might be something throughout the project. As Kathleen said, this is a 5-year project that maybe in a larger home, if we look at a home that has more than 225 residents, may require two champions, just because of the magnitude of the amount of residents in that home. So that's definitely something that we can look at. So I appreciate that question. So stay tuned on that one. The next question is, do we require participation of the home at this time or agreement of the home to join the champion project?
Ideally, yes, we need at least the council to approach the home and say, we want to be part of this. And we just need the home to agree to support the work of the champion in the same way that they would support the work of the executive of a family council, meaning that they'll give you space, they'll help you photocopy resources. Staff will meet with you to answer questions you may have in the same way they would with the council chair, because your role as the champion will be to provide that education to the leadership of the council or to support the leadership of the council in addressing their specific questions or concerns and to build that collaboration between staff and between councils.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathleen. Doreen is asking, what's the concern or reason for initiating this new role? So there really, I can't say that there's a specific concern or reason. And Doreen apologizes. She missed the first 5 minutes of the meeting and the explanation of how Family Councils Ontario decided to really look at the impact of our work and, the type of resources and education that we provide to our sector partners, to our long-term care homes, to the family councils, family caregivers, and home leadership and home staff. So we developed our intended impact statement, and one of our goals is how can we really ensure that not only do homes have a family council present in their long-term care communities, but how can we ensure that they are effective? And by doing so, we need increased presence in the home. So Family Councils Ontario staff would love to be able to be at some point in all 640 plus homes in the province. This is very unrealistic. So we thought, what if there is an extension? What if there's a presence in the home that would be able to answer those questions, would be able to provide FCO resources and tools to really help create and maintain an effective family council. So help with recruitment, help with collaboration, help with building relationships, with answering questions. So this is how the idea came about. Having champions in different capacities and different organizations, different sectors, different programs, this is not new. We hear the word champions in many different ways that other organizations have used champions to really, it's to improve, enhance, and to really look at impact. So how that person, that champion that celebrates, that, raise that's that cheerleader, as Kathleen said, to really ensure that we achieve effectiveness, that we reach our goals, that we can build trustworthy relationships, that we could collaborate. So that's where the idea of the champion was born. And so we thought it would be a really great way to really help better support the family councils within the long-term care homes and also help the homes that are struggling in really getting that family engagement and getting families interested in forming a family council in their home, having that champion present in the home to really help with that engagement and getting families really to see the importance of having a family council and that family engagement within the home. So I hope that helped answered your question, and lots of questions in the chat now. So we'll move on to the next question. Um, so Allison said, thank you for your answer. And yes, they will advertise in the broader community, but did not receive a champion. Can the council choose a champion from within as long as they are not executive? Absolutely, yes. Kathleen, is that correct?
As long as they are willing to do it, like you can't force someone to be the champion. They'd have to indicate to you that they would be willing to take on that role. But if they are willing and they're an active part of the council, then yes, absolutely. Hands down. But again, you can't be told you're going to be the chair. So same thing, you can't be told you're going to be the champion. But if they are already part of your council, then that is great. And again, one thing I will say, so nursing has a really good program for having a nurse lead be someone who is the champion in all long-term care homes when it comes to best practice guidelines for specific approaches to care. So it might be palliative care. I know Leanne's working on one right now, best practice guidelines for elder abuse. And so this is kind of looking at the champion will get some training about what are the best practices for family councils when it comes to meetings and having an effective meeting, working together. What are some best practices for collaboration between the council and their partners in the home? So residents, council being one of those partners and staff being another collaborator. So really the champion for us will, part of the training will be talking about what are those best practices and making sure they're aware of and comfortable articulating those best practices and sharing that and kind of being that in-house coach for the chair or for the staff in working through different situations that might come up. I know someone asked, is the training, if there's travel required for any distance, will the training expenses be covered? Yes, that is something that, because it is a pilot, that was a request that both Leanne and I had when we were creating the budget for our program. So there will be a stipend, or the compensation for travel will be possible for a champion.
Yeah, so FCO will cover the cost of travel and meals during the training time. So what Kathleen and I are hoping to do, as she was saying, is kind of cohort based on proximity regions of homes. So let's say if we're in the eastern area, we may gather homes from the Ottawa region and Kingston and surroundings to meet at one particular long-term care home for the training, and Kathleen and I will be present there. And then any, mileage or cost associated for the travel will be reimbursed by Family Councils Ontario. And the same, like if we're looking at the Greater Toronto area or in the north, if we're looking at, Barrie, Sudbury, Temiskaming, look at gathering and cohorting those homes that wish to participate. So the next question is, should the champion be invited by management to participate on committees of the home? So, yes, under the Fixing Long-Term Care Act, the Quality Improvement Committee, a member of the Family Council should be invited to participate on that committee. That is in the Fixing Long-Term Care Act, that the presence of a Family Council member, if there is one, should be sitting on that committee. So, the champions could go, but could be an additional person attending that committee. And they would be there supporting the family council member. So whatever the family council member is chosen to participate on those committees, the champion can be there as a support for the family council member. Is that correct in saying that, Kathleen?
Yeah, so the champion, it is not intended to take that seat, but rather to be someone who would support. So yes,
Yeah.
being invited to attend those meetings may give them a bit more context, especially like quality improvement. That is often a shared goal. So your home may go to the council and say, can you please help us in accomplishing this specific area that we're targeting this year? And you might also go to your residence council and ask the same thing. Well, you want to make sure that you give them as much of a context as possible of the priorities for your long-term care community, so they can help support the council and support you and support all the partners in achieving those goals. So the more information you give them, and by inviting them to sit in and participate in those, then it helps them understand the bigger context of your long-term care culture and the ecosystem of your unique long-term care community. Because every long-term care community is unique. There's written and unwritten, rules in each community. And so when we go and we travel to do presentations, we love getting to know the families and residents and staff. But again, having a champion who is from that community, who knows people, already understands what is needed to communicate effectively and form that trusting relationship. They're already 10 steps ahead of us. And so, what we really want to do is we want to capitalize on that relationship, on that knowledge that you as a member of your community have, that we as staff coming in to support your community don't have. And really, we want to provide training. So we want to share some of the knowledge we have with this champion to really help them, help your community flourish, help your council, help your families, help your staff, help your, whatever your goals are, help it be as successful as possible.
Thank you, Kathleen. We do have an interesting question in the chat, and I can't say that we haven't seen this or this question was asked to us before. So, what if the council doesn't agree on who is the champion? So, as Kathleen mentioned, we do have a checklist of characteristics on who we think should have the characteristics on being a good champion. So we certainly would not want to see someone that takes on the champion role that doesn't have a good relationship already with the council members or with the leadership team. Um, Someone that really is passionate. We're looking for someone that's passionate, someone that is a good communicator, someone that's um, can show empathy, someone that's a good supporter, someone that has the knowledge of things that are happening within your long-term care community, someone that's good at, really building relationships, at answering questions, at really knowing the importance of having that effective family council within the community. So there is certain criteria that we are looking for when we are looking at recruiting a champion. So, Kathleen, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we want someone who, when you think about having conversations with someone who's coaching you and training you, and you think about the coach that you felt comfortable working with, what were the characteristics of that coach? And what was needed for that coach to be able to share information, but not actually step in and do the drill or do the activity or do the action. So we're looking for someone who, might have experience in providing education and facilitating conversations. It will be, and that those skills will be part of the training we give, but you'd be someone who is excited to really engage with people and to coach people and see, the potential that anyone has and really be that approachable kind of person to cheer everyone on, right? So you're not really taking a side, you're seeing the bigger picture of everything that's coming together. So really looking at, well, what are your shared goals? What are those goals? And really centering on the what is it we're trying to achieve? And I'll give a good example of that. So the impact statement that we read earlier, with our team, it took us a while and some good conversations between our team to get there, right? But the facilitator got us there. And so the champion is very much like that facilitator for us, going to get you to what is that SMART goal the council has, and how can they communicate that with the staff and with the residents? How can you work together with all of those partners in your long-term care community to achieve success in that specific goal that you have? And then once you achieve that success, celebrating that success, right? I want the champions to be someone who says, you reached that goal. That is amazing. I mean, even if the goal is literally just to have, maybe wanting to have more people join your council and be aware of what the benefit of the council is, that is a success. If you achieve that, celebrating that, right? And reminding you and cheering you on to celebrate even those, things that may seem small. It's still important to celebrate those because you're volunteering your time. It's something that you're doing above and beyond all of the other things you're doing in long-term care to support a resident because you care about the quality of life and you see a council as an important way to really be able to engage with the community and to see that happen.
Excellent. Thanks, Kathleen. We do have two other great questions. So one of them from Lena is asking if there's no interest from others to take on this role of champion in the home, but the chair of the council is interested, can they apply?
It may depend. I really just don't want you to take too much on. That would be my concern. The intent of the champion is it's really to support the work of the existing council. If there is no active council, then their main priority might be to try and get families together and to see a council become a reality in that community. But if there is an active council, I really don't want to see you take away from there. And we can provide, some of the resources we have talked about, the tools to look at family council engagement or effectiveness. We will share with councils, and chairs can use those tools to really look at, well, what are you doing well as a council? What are your strengths and what are some areas for growth that you can look to as a council? But I don't want to put too much on those people who are already, as I said, they're really engaged people in the role of chair. Some said they take it's almost a full-time job beyond being a care partner. So at least for the pilot, no. But moving forward, maybe it is an option.
Great answer. Thank you, Kathleen. We also want to stress that I know it was mentioned early on in the presentation that the council has to have a family member in the home. So when we're looking at membership, during that pilot project, now we had someone ask, what if during the pilot program their loved one passes away? So in that instance, they are already in the champion role and have committed for that 1 year. So we would permit the champion to finish out their 1 year commitment to the project. Emily asks, what information is being sent to the homes and long-term care community so that they understand the champion is working to provide support only? So we have an extensive package that we develop. So, Emily, if that's something you're interested in receiving for your home, you can send us an email. Taeyang can put my email or Kathleen's email in the chat. And that is something we can send to your home. So all the information, everything you need to know about the role of the champion, the role of the family council, and the role of the home is all in that information package. So we're happy to send that to you. Excellent. So our emails are in the chat, Emily. So if you just want to send us a quick email, then we'll be happy to forward that to you. So I skipped a question in the chat. Someone asked, has there been previous projects with the same goals? So I can say that there are definitely some with similar goals. As I mentioned earlier, a champion, having a champion and really focusing on that or having champions available in different organizations or sectors or programs, that this isn't new. So definitely there has been previous projects where a champion has been put in place, a champion exists. Just the role of that champion may look a little bit differently. But we hear that a lot, right? As Kathleen said, the RNAO has a champion. I know that different long-term care homes may have a staff champion, a PSW champion. I know someone in the Q&A put that there is a staff champion in their home and they have a great relationship with that staff champion and they're available for support and to answer questions. And that is exactly what we are trying to do with this project is really create that point of contact, that person that will continue to lift spirits, to, enhance the presence of the family council, to keep, councils on track, and to make sure that the home leadership team understands their role in supporting the family council, to making sure that we do rebuild those relationships. And if there are times, let's be honest and real, trust may be broken, there may be conflict that arises, but that champion is there to help support during the conflict, to help have those conversations, to help rebuild those relationships, always with Family Councils Ontario being there. Like we're not going away. We are definitely going to be there to continue offering those supports and share those resources. It just helps to have that person constantly present in the long-term care home to really offer to continue to have that constant presence to offer that support and answer those questions. So that's what we're hoping to do. Is there any other questions or things that might have gone unanswered or things you're not too sure about? So we do have homes that have showed interest that are, waiting in the wings to receive the information and signing the agreements to be able to participate in this pilot project. Ideally, we'd like to have 25 to 30 homes. To be fully engaged in participating in the pilot program. This will give us some great, information, feedback, data uh, that we can collect and really bring back and share. So this will be an ongoing learning opportunity where we can share this information and update with everyone in terms of as we track the information and collect the data, what that looks like. And have we seen a change in behaviors? Have we seen a change when there is an effective family council in place? Does that enhance the experience? Does that help improve communication and collaboration? So we're very excited to see the outcome and the impact that this pilot project will have. Doreen is asking, will you share the names of homes that have signed on on having a champion? I can't see why not. We'll have to get consent from the homes, but I can see that as being a good thing in sharing the homes that have agreed to participate. So we'll definitely look at that. And if we have consent, I think that's something that we can definitely share. Julie asked, is it helpful to share this in our executive report for recruiting? Or is there a deadline to get homes signed up by? Kat, I don't think we have a strict deadline because there may be special circumstances where a home has to drop out of the pilot program throughout the year, and we would see if there's another home that would be willing to join and take on the project. So yes, I think it would be very helpful to share that in your executive report. I think the more homes that know about the project, the better, and the more interest that is generated, and it will help us in, reaching our goals. But I think in the end, really what we want to do is have effective family councils in as many homes in the province as possible. So if it is something that you want to share with your executive, your homes, please feel free to do so. We would really appreciate that. Farah's asking, what policy changes or enhancement would you consider within 5 years? Kathleen, that's a you answer.
Oh gosh. And I have a hard time, like, so when I was in the process of planning this and when I was scaling up to the 5 years, I was just overwhelmed by thinking of the 5 years. I think it looks at, so again, just not all long-term care home communities necessarily need a family council. And I say that because, and we were talking to some individuals from a family council network. They said some of our homes have great communication with families and very transparent communication and a very strong relationship. They don't feel there's a need for a council, but they still have very strong family engagement. And so we have, and I'm creating two tools that'll be used to be able to capture both the current effectiveness of a council as well as the current effectiveness of family engagement in a long-term care community. And so right now, if you asked us to report on the percentage of how many homes have an active council, that changes and that's a challenge for us. But on top of that, how many of those councils are effective? Again, we don't have anything. So we will actually have a tool that would let us at least every quarter be able to report on how many councils of the active councils are effective. So again, we want to have 75% of the councils in Ontario being effective by 2030. So by 2030, we'd be able to tell you, are we being successful in achieving that goal or not with this tool? But if they don't have council, or of the homes that don't have councils, how many homes have effective family engagement? We could also, of the homes without an active council, tell you a percentage. And again, just justifying that while there is no active councils, and councils are great, but it doesn't mean it's the one size fits all. Based on the needs of that community, we could be able to demonstrate that family engagement is equally as important. And then again, use that information just to help again augment the prioritization of family engagement and building relationships with families, that it's worth the time that staff are investing in communicating and really asking what are the needs and preferences of the care partners who are currently part of that community, to make sure that there is that trust, that there is that collaboration, there is all of those things that we know that are essential to being an effective team. And really, team is important, right? Because family care partners are part of the care team and long-term